Now recording.
Hey, Craig, I need you to take Chris behind the woodshed and just, beat him for a while. Yeah, we really got to stop recording the day before this is released.
Well, let's do our injuries real quick, and then we can discuss that. I'm Grumpy Dungeon Master Christopher McNotopics. This is
I
Grumpy
am.
Jumping Master Jay with one topic.
I
Let's
have
go.
4 or 5 topics.
Uh-huh. You
No, I
better.
do. I definitely do. And then there's the what was it? The elder brain Tarask that I've been talking about for 3 weeks now. That if we have nothing to talk about, I'm just going to go look that up again. Since we
Well, that's
still
all I have
haven't,
to talk
yeah,
about.
yeah, since we still haven't talked about it on here. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, whoever you are, as we
Uh,
go about our business. And hey, let's go ahead and get the Magic the Gathering plagiarism, stolen art bullshit out of the way again.
mhm.
And you can't always blame Wotc for these things, but apparently another one of their artists was stealing art. What is this, the
Yeah.
third time? Third time in the past 6 months?
Well, I mean, they can't. They did everything that they should about it. They investigated it. They looked into it, and then they canned the person so they won't work with them any longer.
Yeah, which is what should happen.
Yeah.
You fire the shit employee.
Right, and it's not a Hasbro thing; it's just a Wotc thing. They did rip off a lot of cards. That artist was used in a lot of things, unfortunately.
Yep.
So it's it's interesting to see what's going to happen, but not really. I mean, if you like drama, you can follow it. She stole a lot of very famous artwork from a lot of very famous people, so it was very
She stole art from Boris Vallejo. Like that that's like stealing from Frank Frazetta. Like who is fucking stupid enough to do something like that? Oh wait, this person.
So
Um
what I think was the issue is if you go to TCG Player and you look at the the artist, like you can search just for that artist name in TCG Player, and you look at the cards that they drew. Okay, they were involved in three secret layers. Okay, and then they were brought on to the Murders at Karlov Manor set. All right.
mhm.
So the three secret layers that she was involved in was the baseball card variants, okay, the Evil Dead cards, all right, and the some other like movie Hollywood poster um, secret layer drop. So in those three secret layers, using a reference photo from an artist, like a photograph of a baseball player, and
Mhm.
then imposing on Liliana Vess's head or Jace's head or Chandra's head. Like that's kind of almost expected what you're gonna do. You know, that's how it's gonna be. The Evil Dead cards. They're just like honestly scenes from the movie on a card. Which that's what they probably did. They probably found a scene they really liked, took that photo, put it in the Photoshop, drew over it, made that photo a card, probably did some art changing to it,
Mhm.
and they called it a day. And it works for those secret layers. But and they're very good cards. But at the same time, it's like, well, when you start getting into the original work cards for Murders at Karlov Manor, all of her murders card have some art that was taken from somebody else.
Yeah,
And you
the
really
one
can't do that in that set. It's almost like when I took Two of Horrors and I redesigned it. Okay, I
Mhm.
stole Gary Gygax's work, changed it up a little bit, well, a lot of
Yeah.
it, and published it. But I didn't hide the fact that this is, you know, Gary Gygax's work or anything like that. I
Yep.
didn't, there's definitely a lot of differences there, but there's a lot of similarities too. I wanted to make it an homage, but at the same time, go with the whole aspect that we refurbished it.
Yeah,
So
go ahead.
there's a certain line where like you taking something and molding into something else becomes just straight plagiarism. And a lot of times you can't really tell until you've seen the final work, but the Trouble in Paris card, in
Yep.
particular,
Trouble in Pairs.
Paris card, the Trouble in Paris card in particular, is literally just a copy paste with very, very, very minor edits.
Yeah, so it's stolen from Cyberpunk 2020. The main character is, at least in the art. So it's stolen straight out of that, which that's how this whole thing came up. Was apparently the artist for Cyberpunk 2020 called this person out.
Okay.
And then the arm is it's stolen from Boris Vallejo.
Yeah, I got two examples in the in our podcast chat channel on our Discord, so you can look at the art that they stole, where they got whatever piece from.
Yeah.
Like it, when you look at the original piece that they took from, it's very apparent that they didn't change anything. Like, I would expect an up and coming artist to kind of doing this as a practice, but at a certain point in time, when you start doing this stuff and you start making stuff out, like you gotta stop doing that 100%. You could look at a photo. Like, one of the things that I do when I create a dungeon or I'm working on a big project is I create a board, or basically a folder on my computer, where I take all the images that I'm thinking about for like a race or a culture or monsters or a location, and I find photos of that particular thing, and I use those as inspiration. And you definitely need to do that as an artist.
Oh,
but
absolutely.
When you import the photo and then change an ear so it's pointed and make the nose less pronounced and then call it your own, that's a little crazy.
At that point, that's the equivalent of AI art. Like, it's not performing art. It's not actually creating anything. It's not drawing anything. It's just stealing something and then minorly altering it.
Yeah. So, like, there are people complaining about her tracing a lion's head for the Gatewatch card, the baseball one.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about that. It's a photo of a lion. There's 1,000 of them. You use that and trace that. I don't care. But taking another person's artwork and then not modifying it at all, like they did, is... I'm trying to find the photo comparison. I'll put it in the Discord once I find it. But it's so apparent that they stole with the Trouble in Paris card that it's very, hilarious.
Very obvious. Yeah, apparently the artist whose art was being stolen was Donato Giancola, and the one who was stealing it was Faye Dalton. Yeah, but whatever. It's annoying. I'm glad that Hasbro Wotc did exactly what they needed to do. Hopefully this person learned their lesson, and maybe someday they'll be able to actually, work as a professional artist again, if they don't do that kind of shit and actually learn to art properly.
Yeah, I'm sure they will. I mean, they pretty much have to.
Yeah. Either that, or you're going to go find you another type of job that's not art.
Yeah.
Like that's your options.
So, any real D&D news happen?
D&D? No, not really. Oh. You know me. I don't really keep up with D&D news.
Well, there's been no D&D news ever since the Gary Con and PAX East. They kind of blew all the loads that weekend, and now they're done with everything.
Yeah, you're not really going to get anything D&D related until, I guess, the eve of Vecna comes out.
Well, I mean,
any idea when that is?
It's in May of some kind.
Yeah, so a couple more months.
The prequel venture comes out here in April. The Tome of Beasts from Cobalt Press is on D&D Beyond. You can get a free copy of The Lost Caverns of Sojonth.
Yeah,
Lego D&D. We talked about that. And pretty much I think they're in a holding pattern until that stuff comes out later this year.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a lot of really cool stuff that's coming out, but not D&D related. which means it's more of my alley. I just linked something in the Discord for you that we we have to chat about this. I found this literally right before we hopped on here. So apparently there's a Kickstarter out for Gummy Quest Delicious Fantasy Gummies, and
Mm-hmm.
it's literally just gummy bears, except they're not all bears. There's a Paladin Pina Colada, Wizard Sugar Puff. There's a dragon named Sapphire Blast. They actually have a beholder one, Palm Eye Granite. That's kind of cute.
It is.
Al Berry. See what
So
other? Yeah.
it's a box of 151 gummies, 76 monsters, 15 heroes, 25 potions, and 35 dice that you can use. And I'm assuming if your character kills that monster, you get to eat the gummy.
I as a game master, I would absolutely allow that.
Listen, okay. So one thing I do at Adventures League is I usually order Chinese from Lamb's Garden, which is right next to Synergy, and I always take the fortune cookie and I throw it in the middle of the board, and I call it the fortune cookie of inspiration. The person cracks open the fortune. I circle one of the random numbers on the fortune and give it back to them, fold it up, and say, at any time you can use this as inspiration. I usually make it random which number I choose, usually roll dice or something. So sometimes it could be like a 5 or a 30 or a 75. So that's one thing I do. That's the only thing that I do. Like I throw the fortune cookie, it's wrapped. All right.
Yep.
Last thing that I want is basically eat a gummy dragon that's been touched by everybody as it moves around the board all night. All the people breathing on the thing, coughing on the thing, sneezing on the thing.
That's how you keep your immunities good.
That's how you keep your immunities good, and you get COVID again. Like, I don't want to start the next.
I would not do that. I would not allow that at Adventures League. Let's be honest. Maybe at my table, maybe, but absolutely not at Adventures League.
Now, if you're going to ask me, do I want to spend $74 on buying 100 or basically 302 gummy bears that are fantasy themed that I can eat at my own leisure and eat that dragon all throughout the evening? I will do that and never use them. But I'm not going to spend $75 on minis that I'm never going to be able to use more than once.
Well, apparently 2,916 people have already backed it. This thing had a goal of $3,500, and it's already at $257,000.
Listen, I will buy fantasy gummies and eat them and enjoy them all day long. I am not about to buy gummies, let my players touch them, and then eat them. Like, no, sorry, the fat boy me will not let you eat my fantasy gummies. Like, you can only use them once, okay? Like, even if they don't get eaten, all right? You're not going to use them a second time. You're going to make your maps all sticky, all right?
Okay, do not leave them in the car.
Yeah, they're if they put them on paper maps, the paper map is gonna get sticky and pull up stuff. It may pull up some marker or pennings or whatnot, lead, eraser shavings. Like, I don't know why you would use these and then eat them. Great idea, folks. I'm glad you made the molds for this. I appreciate it. Just sell me a bag. Sell me a blind bag of fantasy gummies.
That's the next way to go. Yeah, like you do the Kickstarter first, you make a ton of money because let's be honest, this didn't cost them that much money to make. It's just gummies, and they've already, they're at $250,000 already on gummies. So I'm sure they're going to make plenty of money. After that, then you go and market this to stores like Walmart or whatever and be like, here's some blind bags of gummy dragons, and there's orcs and goblins and all the cool stuff that's in there right now.
Oh yeah. Don't get me wrong. I would buy the dragon. Like, oh, I want to buy. I mean, I've bought a 1 pound gummy bear and eaten the shit out of it. I'll buy a 1 pound dragon gummy and eat the shit out of it too. I love how in the risk section of this Kickstarter it says, here are our risks. First risk is manufacturing. We have a well-known gummy manufacturer lined up and will have quality assurance people on site during production. Who's the well-known gummy manufacturer? Like that's what I need
Is
to
it
know.
is it Haribo? Are these fucking are these the sugar-free Haribo gummies?
So like that's actually kind of like important because I need to know how gummy these gummies are. I don't like Haribo gummies. I'll eat them, but they're
Yeah.
too hard. Like they need to be softened up a little bit.
Well,
I've
you
microwaved
know
them
the
even.
legends of the sugar-free Haribo gummies, right?
Everyone does, but tell
Okay,
people
just
who
making
don't.
sure. Uh, Apparently, and actually, I know this is actually fucking true. I know this for a fact. I'm not going to go into the details of how. It wasn't me, however. But apparently, if you eat a handful of sugar-free Haribo gummies, and it may not hit everybody the same way, but there is a large portion of people who will end up in the fucking bathroom for hours after
Yeah,
eating just a handful of those things.
some chemical they use to make it sugar free.
Yeah.
Like, are these Haribo consistency, or are they softer like whatever the other fancy brand is in the white bag? Are they
Yeah.
soft like the lightsabers? Are they like Swedish Fish? You know?
Oh, if they were like Swedish Fish, I would actually be interested in these because I don't really eat gummies, but Swedish Fish are fucking delicious.
Now, one thing that is really cool about their Kickstarter is they will sell you the molds.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's kind of cool.
They will sell you for $165. They'll sell you the molds to make your own Kickstarter or own fantasy gummies. Now
That's the way to
is
go.
pretty
Yeah.
cool. I can make as many goblins as I want in the consistency that I want it, and then eat just goblins all day. Count me in.
Yep. If you want diabetes, that's the way to do it. So many diabetics. I know there's at least going to be 2,916 diabetics by the time this is over.
Well, right now I think they're definitely going to get 389. But I spent $156 on 600 gummies. Yeah, maybe.
How many gummies for how much?
156 for 604 gummies.
That still seems pricey.
Yeah, but I mean, the pound gummies are like $20 a piece, and you get a lot of those.
That's fair. I am not a gummy aficionado, so I couldn't even begin to tell you the price of even a bag of these things. I would imagine like a small bag at a convenience store is probably $3 or $4.
The Albanese is what I was thinking of. So the Albanese gummy bears are really good. Then the Haribos are always questionable. Black Forest gummy bears are pretty good. Sour Patch Kids are great. I've never had Noms or Branches.
The only ones I have ever had that I could say for sure that I've had them was I've had the Haribo not sugar-free ones, and I've had the Swedish Fish. And I'm sure I've had other types, but I just don't know the brands or the names or anything.
Yeah. So yeah, buy lots of minis from your LGS. The 50th anniversary D&D minis are coming out, and I would spend $150 on those before I bought gummy bears. Fantasy figures. It just is what it is. Like you can't. You're gonna have people touching them all night, and they're gonna be icky. Some fat guy with Cheeto dust fingers. I'm gonna move the goblin. Okay, who wants to eat that one with the Cheeto dust finger?
Yeah, why does this berry flavored gummy taste like fucking Cheez-Its?
And then like the other thing is too is like, what if a player just like starts eating the gummies before you like, are those goblins dead now? You're gonna start doing theater of the mind? Fuck that.
That's what would happen. You would show up, you would place all these minis out there, and before you ever even started the adventure, somebody would have already nabbed a couple of them.
Probably.
I mean, you'd be eating them too, so you're like, well, fuck, I ran out of goblins. I already ate all of them. And you'd have to get out your real minis. Also, these aren't painted.
Jesus. You get like food soluble paints and paint them up. Yeah.
That's for somebody who's hardcore about this.
At that point, they're just making them out of fondant or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go. It's fondue minis, or not fondue, but a fondant mini. Is it fondant? Yeah, fondant. I think that's the shit they put. That's the stuff they cover those cakes that taste terrible with.
All right. So
Yeah.
what's your next topic?
I love how it's all my topics tonight.
I have none. I'm Christopher McNotopic.
Yep, that's fine. So the other one, one of the other ones I wanted to talk about. So we played Trivial Pursuit Dungeons and Dragons the other night, and
Yeah.
every few months we busted out, play through a game of it. I did really really well, but there's certain questions in there that I'm just drawing a fucking blank on. Anything module or adventure related, I'm not going to get it. There's no fucking chance in hell. Which is the entire pink color. So that's the one that always takes me the longest to get. By the way, so when we started, the first one that I landed on was pink. And I got the pink question. It was fucking impossible question about some adventure from like 1984 that I've never even heard of. And then my buddy Mike goes and he ends up on the pink one also. And his answer was dark vision. Like literally, it was what allows people to see in the dark as a magic spell. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's the same series of questions, and you get goddamn dark vision, and I get some esoteric question that only somebody who's playing in the 1970s would know. Anyway, rant over. But I did find that any questions about Eberron, nobody in my group can answer them.
Yeah.
No one. Like, because I have never run Eberron. I've never played Eberron. While I do own the third edition book for Eberron and several of the novels, I haven't read any of them. So I'm taking it upon myself that I'm going to run a freaking Eberron campaign next. So I'll probably do it third edition because that's what I own, and I can actually get, God forbid, I can actually order modules, actual adventure campaign modules, so that I don't have to create this whole thing myself. I know for me, that's blasphemy. But I think that's what I'll end up doing.
I mean, Eberron is a very interesting setting. And I know basically it was very popular and won a competition to become an official setting.
Yep.
And it's great for what it is, but it's just another fantasy setting at the end of the day, even with its magical technology, which isn't technology.
Yeah, I mean, it is still a fantasy setting. It differs a lot from Dragonlance or Forgotten Realms. Forgotten
Yeah.
Realms, current Forgotten Realms, has become much more akin to what Eberron was. So, like,
Except for all the trains and shit, yeah.
Yeah, except for that, but a lot of just the overpowered magic and more technologically based. You're not seeing a shit ton of it, but it's there now where it didn't used to be. One thing I came across when I was going through the book, though, that I hadn't ever realized is apparently, and I could be completely wrong on this, but I think Eberron is where inspiration began. Like, in 5e, you give inspiration. Apparently, they have. God damn it! I'm gonna have to look it up. What it was called. Sorry, I had it earlier and then I forgot. They have action points, and it was the first time I'd ever seen anything like that in third edition or earlier. Because basic third edition doesn't have action points. I don't recall anything like that. But effectively, everybody gets 5 action points when you start out, and they do not come back until you level up. So you have 5 action. You have 5 action points that you can spend total for that level. When you level up, you get 5 new ones, and basically it wipes it clean. You get 5 points, and as you go up in levels, it starts going up slowly. So a 20th level character might have like 10 or 20 of them.
Yeah.
And it kind of operates differently from the way that we know 5th edition inspiration. Basically, you can spend a point, you can roll a d6 and add it to your roll. But you have to do it before you know the outcome of the roll.
Yeah.
And as you go up in levels, I think at 7th level, you get to roll 2d6 and take the highest one. And at like 15th level or something, you get to take 3d6 and take the highest. So, but it was the first time I'd seen anything like that, and it's kind of neat.
Yeah, I mean, that is a neat feature, and a lot of people, a lot of tables use that. I think hero points is what that essentially is, and
Yeah, basically,
five.
it's kind of it's akin to bardic inspiration, or
Yeah,
what the battle masters do.
did
Oh, did they change how battle masters work now?
they don't exist anymore? Oh,
They no, but
sorry. Yeah, Battle
oh
Masters. I was thinking Warlords. I don't know why.
oh yeah, yeah, no,
I missed
warlord.
them so much.
I agree.
Yeah,
Warlords, I think, actually were third edition. Well, I know they were third edition. I want to say they came out of Calamar, if I remember correctly, which actually I guess would have been the first place for action points or something like that. For people who aren't familiar, the Warlord was basically a fighter class that could inspire other classes. You could not attack or something of that nature, and instead you could allow somebody else to attack,
yep.
or
Or use a healing surge or other things.
move. Yeah, you could effectively belay your own turn so that other people could take turns.
Yeah, I really liked it in fourth edition. I'm sad it's gone.
Yeah, no, it was great in third. I never got to play one, but it was always one of the classes I wanted to try out.
I had a one-eyed, one-armed, one-legged dwarf named Boss.
One-eyed, one-legged,
One-armed.
one-armed.
Yep.
How did you play that?
Well, all he did is yell at people.
Oh, was he an NPC?
No, he was a PC.
Was he was your PC?
Yeah, my PC. Yeah.
So
Like
he didn't fight?
no, I mean, he had a crossbow that he could use.
Oh, okay.
But
How did he get
when
around? Did he have
like a ped leg, but
okay, okay.
it didn't affect my movement at all. Just like he had a peg leg, he had a hook for a hand,
I
or an
thought
arm.
I was sitting here thinking that your missing leg was on one side, the missing arm was on the other, and then you just used a crutch.
um, and so essentially all he did is he didn't need to do combat or anything like that. He just yelled at everyone else. It was a fourth edition, so his abilities were like on your action, said PC can basically make a melee attack against a set opponent with your bonuses and your extra damage. And I was the healer of the group, and I just stood back and just yelled at people, like
Yeah.
Stonewall Jackson of old. I'm going to stay right here. I'm not moving. It hurts to move. You hit him harder. You take your shot. You stand the F up and heal yourself. That's all he did. I didn't have to do any strategizing at all. I just yelled at people and tell them to do stuff. I didn't roll any dice.
And because that's how the Warlord works, it actually works.
Yeah. I didn't roll any dice. I didn't do anything. So it was great.
Hell yeah. But yeah, I'm definitely I've never run Eberron. Haven't really dove into it, but I've started actually reading through the book now. So I think I'll enjoy running this. It's definitely different. It is where the Artificer started out as well. Yeah, I know. I don't think they weren't nearly as bad in the third edition, at least. But to be fair, I could be completely wrong. It is also where the Warforged came from.
I like the Warforged a lot. I hate the Artificer.
I hate the fact that in fifth edition, the Warforged are just healed like normal. Like, I get it because Wotc's lazy and doesn't want to have to create mending spells and things of that nature. But if you had a Warforged in your party, man, they had to be healed differently. It wasn't that simple.
Yeah.
Like, they had to be repaired.
It was a lot of fun. Like I said, I've told stories about the Warforged that I've played, and it kind of makes sense. It's magic at the end of the day, but I liked the way it was in fourth edition. It seemed to work out well. It still had a lot of fantasy to it and a lot of design.
Yeah, but in fourth edition, in fourth edition, you could just say healing surge and you were healed some points. But third,
but curative magic still didn't work on them. Things that procced their healing surges worked, but things that were organic healing didn't work.
Okay, well that's good to know.
Yeah. So you still needed to do other things to fix them. And I think mending fixed them, and stuff like that. But But yeah, like you could get healed and picked up if you had healing surges available, but the cleric couldn't heal them. Like their bonus healing, I don't think applied. So like
Yeah.
if they heal, like cure wounds would be like you use a healing surge plus 1d8. The 1d8 wouldn't apply, but the healing surge would still get triggered.
Yep. If I'm remembering correctly, in third edition, it's a basic mending spell heals like very little or some such. I want to say that there are actually higher end mending spells that were cast by arcane, like wizards and sorcerers and such.
Yeah.
Whereas a cleric couldn't really do a whole lot to heal a warforged. Mind you, as I read through this thing, if I come to find out differently, I'm sure I'll talk about it later on. But yeah, kind of a neat setting that I'm looking forward to. They also had the dragon marks in here, which I don't know if you're familiar with them or not.
Isn't it like a bunch of houses, and they all have their own dragon mark or something?
Yeah, basically there were 13 dragon marks. Only 12 of them, I'm saying that in quotations, still exist. One of them had died out completely, and each of the dragon marks seemed to be tied to some sort of a noble house. And if you wanted to have a dragon mark in the game, you actually have to take a feat that allows you to even have them and use them. And effectively, you can spend some of them, I think, might just operate like normal. Other ones, you actually have to spend action points to use them. Effectively, it allows you to cast certain spells. It's kind of like a magic item, except it's
Okay.
engraved. It's engraved into you, so you can't really lose it.
Huh.
Yep, kind of like I guess kind of similar to magical tattoos. You know how
I was trying to make a Game of Thrones joke by saying, "Oh, this dragon mark is a dire wolf. This dragon mark is a flayed man," and I was going to see if you were going to get it. And so I quickly looked up houses in Game of Thrones, and I tried to go through the list and see like, okay, where's what and who's who, and then like there's like 1,000 fucking houses.
Yeah,
I
I know a couple of the major ones. Like there was the dire wolf for Jon Snow's house, whatever the fuck house that was.
Yeah, it was direwolf, lion.
There's the dragon,
multi-headed dragon.
Yeah,
the blue raven.
Sorry, the dragon. I think that's a hydra. Actually, that was for the sea dwellers. Once again, I don't remember the names of any of them because I haven't seen.
The sea dwellers were the.
Was it a kraken?
Yeah, it was a kraken. That was Greyjoy.
That's right. Yeah,
Targaryen was like a multi-headed dragon.
Oh, okay. Well, which one was the lion? Because you said that one.
That was Lannisters.
Yeah. Okay. I did have it right in my head at least. Okay.
Yeah. Baratheons was a stag.
Yeah.
Tyrell was the dandelion.
Yep. I really enjoyed that show. I know you hated the last season, but I never.
It's a shame they never made more than 4 seasons.
Apparently, what's his face has actually started writing the next novel.
He already started. He just like stopped. Did he start again?
Yeah. No, like I saw something recently where he was actually looking to finish it.
Before he dies.
Yeah, it's many years too late at this point. But, like if you're gonna write novels, you better have those novels out before the fucking TV show finishes.
Yeah, the same thing happened with that as happened with all the anime that gets ahead of the manga.
Yeah.
They decide to go their own way, and you end up with freaking Nazis and Full Metal Alchemists. You're like, where did it come from? And you're like, that's weird and stupid. Okay.
I'm curious if R.R. Martin, when he writes it, assuming he ever actually does finish it, is he going to write it to match up with the TV show?
I wouldn't. I mean, I don't think he could.
Oh, sure he could. It wouldn't be, maybe not every single little detail, but he could follow the exact same storyline.
Yeah, but no one liked it. Like, why would you run a campaign the same way that you ran it before? That was.
I mean, in case you hadn't figured out, he's obviously kind of lazy about it. So he might just do that. He's like, well, they already kind of wrote it for me. Now I just need to fill in all the details. I never did quite get why everybody hated that ending so much. And at this point, everything's a little fuzzy, so I probably won't remember details if we even discuss it. But
everyone hated the ending because it was two guys who were just basically trying to pull the rug out from under people and failing miserably to do it. And the exact moment that I soured on them was when one scene in one episode was, oh yeah, and the was it the Greyjoy fleet or whatever is down here to the south, and they're they're pulling up, it was the Greyjoys or the Tullys, I can't remember which. They're doing their fleet outside of King's Landing, and they're reinforcing the harbor. And then a scene or two later, Daenerys is flying in with her 3 dragons to go like blow up King's Landing, and a ship shoots one of the dragons out of the sky, and wounds the other one. And when the episode ended and they go to like the recap with the directors there, the director looks at the camera and goes, "Looks like Daenerys forgot about the Greyjoy ships." Like, no, she didn't. You just told her to fly down there because you couldn't think of anything to do, and killing the dragon would have been spectacular on screen, and you suck. Like, that was the problem. Like, there was nothing thought out. It was just, okay, let's do this for views. Let's do this for views. And it just was haberdashed in place.
Yeah, I don't remember the specifics of things like that. Like I know a lot of people just hated what happened with Jon Snow at the end. Or just they just sort of hated how the whole thing ended with him having to kill Daenerys. And yeah.
Well, okay, like another good example would be like, okay, Jon Snow going back up to the north. I'm fine with that. I don't care about that.
I know so many people were pissed about that. I was like, to me, it's like, how the fuck did you think this was going to go?
They wanted him. They wanted him to be the king. He's definitely not someone to sit on a throne.
No,
that's not in his character. It's probably the one thing they did right. But like, what's her face? The girl, the stabby assassin girl.
His sister. Yeah.
Yeah, she going, oh, I'm just going to sail west because we don't know what's over there in the west. When you have a dude who literally can basically see into the ethereal plane of everything and knows all and knows what's out in the west, he can just like, okay, well, I'm going to send a couple ravens over there and I'll let you know. You don't have to like sail off the world and die, like they. Again,
that never would have even crossed my mind. Like, her character was so broken. Like, I could understand her just wanting to get away. Period.
They didn't know what to do, so they're like, "Oh, she's gonna sail west." It's like they rushed it. Like they got all stoned out of their mind and were like, "Okay, she'll just sail west. That's cool, ha ha ha." So she's still out there stabbing people.
Yeah.
No, she probably died because there's no food.
So yeah, for any DMs or who want to write stories, just don't pay attention to fucking Game of Thrones, apparently.
Well, there was also too of like shit. The one Lannister brother, the twin, where he was like the first part, like the seasons of the show, like travel mattered. Oh, it's gonna take 6 months for you to travel from here to there.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And like they'll be gone from the show for like a couple episodes. Time would have passed. Seasons would have come and gone. And they're like, okay, we finally arrived up in the north. And like, okay, cool. And fucking that one dude basically traveled from the south to the north, to the south, to the middle of the north, back to the King's Landing. And like an episode. Like he had like the waypoints figured out. He could teleport and was just hopping around when it should have taken him months, if not years of travel time.
That's actually an important thing to talk about when it comes to tabletopping. I'm kind of glad you mentioned it because it got me to think about it. Travel. There are so many ways to do travel. If you just want to progress the storyline and skip everything in between, that's perfectly fine. But I personally have found that games and settings tend to be better if they're more localized and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Now, mind you, while I prefer things to be smaller, as a game master, I have sent my players all over the fucking world via teleportation many, many, many times.
Yeah.
But in truth, that's not usually going to be the best campaign. The best campaign is to keep it within, a 100-mile route. or so of each other. Yeah, where you don't really know what's over the next hill. And just keep things close, keep them tight, and make travel matter. If you're going to walk 20 miles to the next town, well, there's a lot that could happen in that 20 miles.
Mm-hmm.
But if you just want to teleport to the next city 200 miles away, it's boring. Been done.
Yeah. So I put a link in our podcast chat for the Sword Coast interactive map. And this map has a Greyhawk map. It has maps for many of the different cities, like Icewind Dale, Baldur's Gate, Neverwinter. I use it for Waterdeep a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a bigger Forgotten Realms map. And what it's been done with this map is you can basically pick the map, and so let's just assume it's Waterdeep. You can draw out the route from where the characters are at their inn to whatever location you need to go to. And like you can just draw out and follow the major roads, and it will basically give you options. Are you running there? It'll take you this long. Are you walking there? It'll take you this long. Is it during the day? Because that adds this amount of traffic, of just people being there. And I used it very recently with the Forgotten Realms map, or the Sword Coast map, where my players had basically traveled from Waterdeep up to there's a location near the Saurian River up in the Saurian Hills they had to get to. So they basically went down to Zundridge, which is basically this big bridge that has like a bunch of towers there, met a contact, took a boat up the Saurian River all the way to a town that's up there, and basically then walked the rest of the way. And I could draw out that entire interaction for them.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll do it again here real quick.
I'm disappointed by this map, though, because this is obviously a 5e map. There's so much more of the Forgotten Realms that are not in this thing.
Well, I mean, make a suggestion. He's adding to it all the time.
Well, there's a shitload of stuff to the east. I mean,
yes. Well, there's a Sword Coast map, and there's Forgotten Realms, which is much bigger.
Okay. Well, that might be good.
So like I just redrew the map, and so like he has. Well, if you take a rowboat, this section is going to be 27 days. If you're going to walk on this entire thing on foot from here to there, it's going to take you 7 days. So at least I knew how long the traveling could be, and I could give the players an estimate if they asked for it.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah, this map has been fantastic. And, so if my players want to run from the north of Waterdeep to the south of Waterdeep and take the main road, I can give them the exact time it would take them, And it's mattered a few times, like when the parade got attacked in one of my sessions, because they had to basically get away from everybody, and they had to get like an hour distance away and hide. And they were able to do that. And this tool is just fantastic. And it's mostly 5e stuff, but they do have a Greyhawk map, which is interesting.
Yeah.
They don't have an Eberron map. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I mean, I have Eberron maps. I'm sure I can find more detailed ones online as well.
But if you ever run Tomb of Annihilation, he has a Chult map in there, and travel through Chult is a very big part of that campaign adventure. So you can plot out how long it's going to take. And then you can tell your players, hey, you're doing this, but you're going to have to hack through major jungle sections to get there. So it's going to be a long time.
That's one of the very few 5e campaigns I've actually played any of.
Yeah.
Because I never made it into the dungeon or the tomb, but I did get to play 3 or 4 adventures where we're out in the jungles, perusing around.
Mm-hmm.
I actually enjoyed that because it was literally a hex map. It's just fucking hex grid. You don't know what's where. You're wandering around and finding stuff. And let me, heck, I love hex crawls. Sometimes you end up in situations that you can't win because of it.
Yep.
We were second or third level, I think second level, and we ended up running into multiple gargoyles, which you can't hurt without magic weapons.
So, I don't know if I told this story. When I probably definitely did it because this was actually right at the start of the pandemic. We were running Tomb of Annihilation, and I was using my old setup to stream this to just my players. I wasn't even on Twitch at this time. And they were outside of Tomb of Annihilation. They had level 11 characters. They had a bunch of magic items ahead of time. My wife had chosen a magic shield for her paladin and like some kind of magic armor or magic cloak. I couldn't remember exactly which.
Mm-hmm.
And they started fighting the gargoyles that were outside, and they can't be hurt by non-magic weapons.
Yep.
So a couple players could do damage to them, but they're flying around, so they were hard to hit. And my wife was just like, I'm just going to throw my shield at them, Captain America style. I'm like, all right. So she just started hucking her shield at the gargoyles. And eventually they actually got one to the ground, so she just take the shield and just bashing him in the face with the thing, trying to kill it. It was.
Would you just give her disadvantage on the attacks or something?
No, just improvised weapon.
No, okay.
It's a magic. It's a magic shield.
Yeah, but it's an improvised weapon. Isn't that disadvantage?
No.
All right.
It's just 1d4 damage.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah. So I mean, 1d4 plus strength. That's still not the best, but it's a dagger.
It's damage. You can actually hurt them.
It's just shield bashing a motherfucking gargoyle.
Yeah. It's kind of sad at 11th level though. She didn't have a magic weapon.
Well, this is like one of her first times playing D&D.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
So even though I gave her the option to choose things, she didn't choose a magic weapon.
We had a 5e one shot fairly recently, and a lot of us already had characters, but there's a couple people who were joining in who had to make new characters. And my friend Mike's wife, Amanda, she's relatively new to the game. So she made her character, selected some magic items. Then I took a look at it. I was like, you don't have a magic weapon. you need a magic weapon. You need magic armor. Get those.
Yeah, I mean, you can usually get away without a magic weapon if you have some kind of spell that helps with it.
If you're a spellcaster, sure. But if you're, I don't remember. She was like a paladin or a fighter or some shit. So
I want to go back and play my two-handed greatsword Hexblade Warlock. That was a lot of fun.
Yep, it's got to be better than it is on Solasta.
So speaking of hex grid maps, like I've been kind of slowly building a campaign world in the back end for a long time now.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things I really want to do is I want to establish a couple major points on this map. Just picture a campaign map. And instead of drawing the whole thing out, I want to establish, let's say, a major city in the south and a major city in the north. And then like fill in like a line from north to south. That's like the great travel route. Okay. And maybe a couple hexes to the left and to the right at different locations. And then maybe one that kind of offshoots to basically without a hex line up to another area that people know of. But it's hard traveling between there and there because people know of the city, but they don't know what's in between.
Yep.
And basically make it so if you're going to travel to those other places, that's the campaign. It's like you have to figure all that stuff out. And devise a lot of encounters and put some hidden locations, just much like how Cholt did.
Yeah.
I think that's honestly probably how they need to address most campaigns going forward. Like that idea of exploring and adventuring on a hex-based map is just gone, and it really needs to come back.
Yes, that one was really good because the dungeon was the dungeon. Like it is what it is. It's an adventure all in itself. Yeah. But what level were you when you were even supposed to go in that thing?
You're 10 or 11, depending on how far you get.
So you don't even go in the tomb until you're damn near done with the campaign.
And all the other tombs that are basically there that you have to do to collect the keys, even open up Tomb of Annihilation, are all deadly fucking things.
Yeah.
With their own high-level traps and shit.
Yep. But like the vast majority of it is just wandering around trying to figure out how to get to the tomb. You have to go talk to these different NPCs. Well, that means we have to go way the frick over here, and there's a lot of hexes between there. And you don't know what's in those hexes.
And there's the T-Rexes out there, there's Brontosaurus out there, there's cannibalistic gnomes and dwarves out there. Shit's crazy, man.
There's a fucking city of Aarakocra.
Burn that place to the ground.
Yep.
You can't fly at first level! Ah!
Yeah, no, that maybe that's something I've talked about doing it before. Maybe I will after I finish dealing with this Eberron one, because I really want to run that just so I learn about Eberron and can actually answer some questions in Trivial Pursuit. But I would love to run a hex grid campaign. That would be a lot of fun.
You know, you can just read the questions and memorize them.
No. That's not how I want to do it. I have to actually learn it by doing it.
Mm.
Yeah, I know you had an aunt who knew the answer to every single Trivial Pursuit question ever because she memorized the whole goddamn thing.
At
But
least the
I'm not.
1970s version.
Yeah, but I'm never going to do that. I don't enjoy learning things that way. I would rather go through all the pain and struggles of trying to run a third edition Eberron campaign just to learn the name of the continents and other stuff, the name of the organizations.
I mean, you do you. Maybe we'll have topics to talk about then. Oh my God! Did you know that the tieflings are this?
Yep.
Tiamat exists here too.
Yeah. Sadly, I haven't gotten to run much lately. Yeah, it's just been my buddy Drew. He's running a campaign for us for 5e now, and we just had problems scheduling and figuring everything out. We were supposed to play something this past weekend, I think, but nothing ever happened. So
It's a matter of adult life creeping in the way of your gaming time.
I know, right? Everybody else needs to retire, and then we can just game forever. That's why that's the primary reason I want to get old, like actually old. Yeah, once all of my friends are like 65 and older, then we could just game. Yeah, we'll probably get like 2 years in before one of them keels over from a heart attack. But you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, I guess so. But do I still have to be DMing when I'm 65?
Somebody has to.
God damn it.
Yeah. See, I'm one of the older ones in my play group, so I can pawn it off on one of the youngsters. You're only 65. I'm 70. You get to run.
Hey, children, you want to come play D&D with Grandpa? No. Put on a virtual helmet.
Yeah, start recruiting nieces and nephews.
Don't you want to roll his dice? One of those from the prehistoric era.
Yep. Grandpa, we only play online these days, virtually.
Oh my God, where's all the DLC for this dice?
Yep. So one last topic I wanted to chat about, because I can't help myself with Kickstarters.
Mm-hmm.
I keep seeing ones I want, man, but I don't know if I'll back it. Probably not. Most likely I'll wait and just buy it later. But so there's a new one that came out by I think it's Free League. Yeah, Free League, which they're the ones who did Blade Runner, and I don't even remember what else they're responsible for. But there's a Kickstarter they've got called Coriolis: The Great Dark. And if you take a look at it, the artwork I'm a big fan of. Looks really, it's a sci-fi setting, and according to them, they're sort of basing it off of the idea of it's based off of two things, like 1800s North Pole exploration and deep sea diving. And in this, you live on this great space station built into an asteroid that flies around the universe. And as you find new locations, you have to go and explore them to locate resources. And overall, it looks like a really just neat setting. The artwork's really sort of grim dark, almost like Warhammer 40K-esque, but you don't have Space Marines or any of that crazy shit.
Mm-hmm.
Have you even looked at it yet, or are you just reading through it?
I'm just looking through it. I noticed they have one of the stretch goals that they've already reached was doing an alchemy VTT, which is really interesting. That's cool. Yeah, I mean, like this is what you want in a Kickstarter with an RPG. Except I don't want to wait 6 years to get it.
Sure, yeah. A lot of companies, I understand that Free League is pretty good. They've run a lot of Kickstarters. They've been around for quite a while now.
So it would still be a year, and I know you will have forgotten all about it.
Yeah. I mean, they're based in the
apparently,
United Kingdom.
yep. Apparently, they've done the Walking Dead universe role playing. Blade Runner is one I mentioned. Dragonbane, I think, is what they're most known for. There's also a Lord of the Rings one they've done. But I saw this one. I was like, yeah, it popped up on my Facebook feed, of course. I'm like, I don't need another one. And then I clicked the fucking link like I always do.
Yeah, man, you're gonna ruin your algorithm.
Oh, I already have. That's why I keep getting them on my Facebook. As soon as I had Zweihander pop up, they're doing a new version of it pretty soon, or actually, it might already be out. But
yeah, I clicked on the one you gave me earlier, and now I'm getting all those on Facebook.
Oh, you're welcome. Awesome.
Yeah, thanks for that, asshole.
Well, you don't join in Kickstarters because you don't like waiting.
I'm still waiting for the ones that I've already ordered.
Oh, so am I. So am I. I keep getting updates. I've got four. I have
finished another paragraph today.
Yeah, I have 4 of them that I'm still waiting on. 4. Let's see. I'm still waiting on the Tomb of Geisengax. I am waiting on the Gloomhaven RPG. What was the other one? Crooked Moon, and then we're still waiting on the one from Margaret Weiss and Hickman. That Sky Raiders of Abarax.
You should at least promote something something that is from someone that we kind of have some knowledge of. Mimic Mayhem just came out on Kickstarter.
What is that?
It's Jerry Joe Seltzer's the guy that wrote it. He's the one that's the admin for Dungeon Master Resources that we get all our content from. And it's basically just mimics and how to find them. And
okay, let's be honest. This is who you get your information from. I've never heard of this guy.
No, he's the admin of Dungeon Master Resources.
That still doesn't mean I've ever heard of him.
All right. Anyways, he put out his own book about mimics and stuff like that, which is kind of cute.
Yeah, I'm looking at it. Kind of cutesy artwork. I like it.
He did a book recently when Spelljammer came out. It was a bunch of Spelljammer ships.
Okay, well that's a useful thing to have since there was literally nothing in Spelljammer.
Yeah, we talked about it for a little bit when that happened.
Yeah, I remember talking about that one.
But like, there's you go into a room and it says you give players 1 minute to look at this photo and write down what could be mimics, and then you reveal what are mimics later on.
I mean, couldn't everything in there be a mimic?
Technically, yes. Technically. So here, let's run the game real quick if you haven't looked at it yet.
I have the Kickstarter pulled up.
Okay, but don't look at it yet. So I just put an image in our podcast chat, which is basically like this abandoned tavern.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. You have 1 minute to basically figure out what is and is not a mimic in that room.
Okay, so there's a painting. There's 2 paintings, one sitting on a fireplace. There's a fireplace. There's a bear rug. There's a whole bunch of books on a shelf. There's a rat. I'm just sort of naming everything off for the people who aren't looking at this. There's a locked chest. There's a hellhound's head on the wall, and there's an orc head on the wall. There's a rocking chair. There's a shield with a sword and an axe. There is a second fireplace. That's not sketchy. There is a cupboard with 3 bottles. Well, I'm just going over it. And there's a dartboard. Okay.
20 seconds.
How many are there? Do we know?
Nope.
Okay. Off the top of my head, I can spot 2 almost certainly
that
are mimic. The rocking chair and one of the fireplaces, probably the one directly under the window off to the right.
Okay.
Everything else, don't know.
Okay. So, if you look at this,
the reason I say the rocking chair is specifically because it's fucking rocking.
Yeah, so the rocking chair is mid-rock, so you know that's obviously something sketchy. The fireplace is underneath the windowsill, which definitely wouldn't work, so that's definitely a mimic. the ceiling beam that's across the ceiling.
Oh yeah, it is different, isn't it?
It's not attached to the wall, so that's a mimic. And then the only other two mimics that are in this photo is the rat and the dartboard.
Yeah, the dartboard seems a little sketch. Why would you have a dartboard in there? The rat, how the hell are you even going to tell that's a mimic?
Well, that's the only thing that I would have issue with as a player, because they can. There's also a comic about this where a mimic takes the form of a lady in distress, and the hero runs over to save them, and then it eats them. Mimics can transform into objects, so unless it's a stuffed rat, okay, you wouldn't suspect that, especially if it's moving around.
Yeah,
they can't become
right. They're not shape shifters as
right.
Not in that form. Like they can take inanimate objects.
Yeah. So if it's a rat like statue, yes. A living rat, no. But there's another one that's like an outdoor scene where you like the different sign posts and whatnot were mimics and stuff like that. It's a very good book, and it's super cheap. There's a one shot that gets involved with it, and a bunch of new mimic stats as well. So
okay, yeah.
I
enjoy one shots, and to back it, I know we've been talking a lot about Kickstarters today, but yeah, you're looking at what,
$12.
Yeah, so not much. Yeah, this is what happens when there's not actually a lot of role playing news out there. We talk about Kickstarters. Which, to be fair, there's a lot of great Kickstarters.
I didn't get a chance to run my game either because of Easter and my anniversary. So
I actually I was at home Saturday night and I turned on Twitch. I actually remembered and I went to look for your game, and I was like, "What is he? Well, he's not running. Why is he not running?"
Yeah, we kind of canceled last minute because of Easter.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, is what it is.
Yep. It's freaking Zombie Jesus Day, making you cancel your tabletop game.
He's not a zombie. God damn.
I know. We've determined he's a lich.
Yeah, at least get it right.
But I'm still going to refer to him as Zombie Jesus.
No, Lich Jesus.
All right. Well, that's all I got to talk about. And I know you didn't have anything to talk about. And next week, we will talk about the Elder Brain Terrask.
I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure we don't.
If we don't have any other topics, that's what we're talking about.
I will pull out a topic from the ether.
Yeah, you know what you should have done? You should have gone to Dungeon Master Resources and found topics, which is what I normally do when I don't have anything to talk about. There is always some dumbass on there that's going to say something that can be worth talking about.
Probably.
Always. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We're out. Peace.